Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm going to introduce myself, in part because we have some guests here today from Israel who are with us. Welcome. Thank you. My name is Frank Tipton. I'm the assistant head of school, and I'm going to take just a moment to share with you a little bit about why we're here today. Care and connect are two of the four values we uphold here at Gann Academy. These values inform everything we do. Connection to Israel is one of our core learning outcomes that we share for all of you. Gann Academy has maintained a strong relationship with the State of Israel and its people since the school was founded 20 years ago. We are here today to celebrate that relationship, past, present, and future, including our new MyIsrael program, where every 10th grader takes time in the spring to learn about Israel, its peoples, and its stories. This is new. MyIsrael is an exciting opportunity for all of us to enjoy a program and to send our 10th graders off to an exciting new journey, one that no school has ever designed before. In a moment, I want to explain how today is going to work, but I first want to thank everyone involved, so many faculty, so many staff, so many helpers across the school, and so many Jewish community members who have made today possible. Thank you very much. This afternoon, we will hear from faculty and students offering some blessings, their reflections on Israel, and what Israel means for them and their classmates. But first, we will begin with a symbolic passing of the torch from one group of students to another. MUS program alumni from junior and senior years are lined up on one side of the Beit Midrash, right outside those doors. They represent not just themselves, but also previous classes of MUS alumni and the Gann students before them who have participated in a Gann Israel program. With the MyIsrael program less than 3 weeks away, our sophomores are lined up on the other side of the Beit Midrash. They represent not just themselves, but all future Gann Israel participants. MUS program alumni have each written one note to deliver to a sophomore. Each note contains not only best wishes from one student to another, but also represents the handoff of our Gann Israel experience, from past to present to future. I now invite students to come forward and deliver and receive these messages of hope.
Our people have a long history of journeys, each of which begin with some form of leaving. From Avraham and Sarah, Abraham and Sarah, to Yetziat Mitzrayim, to the leaving of Egypt, which we will celebrate in less than 2 weeks. Greater Boston's own Rabbi Lawrence Kushner writes beautifully about this notion of leaving and heading off on a journey. I want to read to you from his book, Honey from the Rock, a passage that I have read to many generations of Gann students as they prepared to head off on a journey to Israel. Abraham, our father, was simply told to leave. Lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha u'mibeit avicha el haaretz asher ar'eka. Go forth from your land, from your kindred, even from your father's house, to the land that I will show you. This is the setting out, the leaving of everything behind, leaving the social milieu, the preconceptions, the definitions, the language, the narrowed field of vision, the expectations. No longer expecting relationships, memories, words, or letters to mean what they used to mean. To be, in a word, open. If you think you know what you will find, then you will find nothing. If you expect nothing, then you will always be surprised. And able to bless the one who creates the world anew each morning. So it is with setting out on the path of liberation, leaving everything. He would even have to discover the way he would discover while he was on the way. Until at last all the people whose fathers and mothers had each set out in their generation, leaving one's house and one's parents and one's family for a wilderness of no expectations. One after another, each of our fathers and mothers before us, with their strange Hebrew yen for the open places, heard this ancient God's voice telling them to leave their preconceptions for the wilderness. Sophomores, you are about to embark on your own Lech Lecha, a Lech Lecha as a community and Lech Lecha as individuals. You are about to embark on journeys that many generations of GAN students before you have shared, and at the same time that will be uniquely yours. I bless you that you stay, in a word, open. Open to one another, to new experiences, to new people, even to discomfort, and certainly open to yourselves. May you discover new ways of seeing, new ways of knowing, new ways of thinking, new ways of connecting with yourselves and your Jewish journeys, with our people, our homeland, our language, and our history, with each other, with your new friends from Haifa. I look forward to being with you for parts of this trip in Israel, and we all look forward to learning from you and being inspired by you when you return. On behalf of the entire GAN community, we are so proud of you. May this be an extraordinary journey.
We are now going to continue with some reflections from faculty and students. I will first invite up our Science Department Chair, Mark Wilkins.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my relationship with Israel. I've been fortunate enough in the last year, I've been to Israel twice, once with my family, once with a faculty trip, and I just want to talk about my connection. My connection is largely through nature and the land and really just kind of experiencing that in Israel, and I want to share 3 moments to kind of highlight that for you. A year ago, I went with my family, so my son and my wife and I were in Israel, and one of our favorite places that we went was in the desert in Mitzvah Ramon, and I was just amazed by the kind of expanse and beauty of the desert and kind of the overwhelming feeling of being in this kind of large expanse of nature. And I remember we were hiking along, and my son stopped along the way and just was bent down and kind of looking down on the ground. And so I went down and looked down with him, and what he noticed was this tiny purple flower that was in bloom in the middle of the desert. And so I had this kind of re-flipping and reconfiguring of my own perspective from this kind of large-scale beauty down to this really small-scale beauty, and kind of flipped my own perspective along the way. Another moment I had in Israel was with our last faculty trip, and we were in Tel Aviv for Shabbat. And in the closing of Shabbat, I learned that the traditional closing of Shabbat is when you're outside and you actually see 3 stars in the night, and it's the time that's closing Shabbat. And so there was a small group of us that actually went down to the sea and down on the boardwalk in Tel Aviv. And so we were underneath the stars, and we were underneath the moon, and we were singing and celebrating the end of Shabbat. And we were having this like communal experience within ourselves as a faculty. But I also noticed there were people walking down the boulevard or walking down the promenade, and an older couple stopped and joined us. And they were smiling and singing. And so again, it kind of like expanded my whole perspective around, I was having this kind of moment in nature and around our own kind of bonding with our faculty. And it really opened up my perspective and expanded it to this connection internationally to a whole other people where we were in Israel. And another connection I just want to share was one other, again, all tied in with nature, where we did a morning hike and did up to Masada, and we'll see the sunrise in Masada. And for me, it was a really powerful and serene experience to be up on the top and see the sunlight coming from the east, coming out from the Jordanian hills and also over the Dead Sea. And I was having my own experience for that. And then I looked over and I actually saw Rabbi Baker. And Rabbi Baker was praying, doing his morning prayers on the top of the sunrise of Masada. And I asked him later on, like, what were you invoking in the morning prayers? And he says, well, this is a prayer I say every morning, and it's about bringing in the light of the day. And I just felt so lucky to have shared that with him, where every day he's trying to bring in the light of the day, and he had this moment that he could actually share that in Israel, and I could learn from those experiences too. And it really helped deepen my perspective and engagement in my experience in Israel. So what I hope for you is that you will find your own place in Israel, something that you feel is yours, but will also take the time to change your perspective by looking at others and maybe flipping your perspective or somehow expanding your perspective or somehow going deeper into something that you know. And so that's my hope for you along your journey too.
Before we continue with our next set of reflections, we have some special greetings from Keshet, our partner in Israel. Sophomores, this one's for you.
Hi. I grew up with an idea of what Israel was, but I was never really sure what Israel actually meant to me until I went for the first time earlier this year and had the opportunity to live there. Until then, Israel was just a place that everyone said was my home. It was the simplest moments in Israel that made me feel like I had found a home. When my roommates and I would go to the grocery store and stock up on snacks for our room, it felt normal and natural. I was absorbed into the culture, and Hod HaSharon became a comfortable place. I remember the moment when I first felt like Israel was my home. It was after our first overnight trip when we were in Jerusalem and went to the Kotel. When the bus finally pulled back up to campus, I remember everyone saying, "I'm so happy to be home," and that's when it hit me. Yes, Israel is a place everyone said was my home, and a place I will always be welcome. But even further, Israel, Hod HaSharon, and the Bayit were my safe place, my happiness, and a place where it was so easy for me to feel accepted and like I belong. My hope for you, the sophomore class, is that while you're in Israel, you take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way, and you learn through your own experiences what Israel symbolizes to you, and you learn that Israel is, in fact, your home.
Hello, thank you. Oh yeah, read by HSI Pride. So, to me, Israel is so much more than a country. It really is a community. And I want to tell one story just to prove that. We were going back from the Negev, a big trip in the Negev, when one of the 2 rainstorms that happen in the Negev happened as we were driving back. That turned our bus ride from what is supposed to be a 4-hour bus ride into an 8-hour bus ride. And many of my friends probably remember this. And one of the most distinctive memories I have from that trip was being stopped in the middle of an Israeli highway while they were trying to shovel out sand from the middle of the highway. And we got out onto the bus into the pouring rain and started dancing around and singing niguns and just having this amazing time when other Israelis started to get out of their cars dance with us. People were shouting at us, and it felt as though the entire highway was just getting so excited by us dancing around in the rain, covered in sand and mud. And as we got back on our bus, it was this feeling that I have never felt in any other country in the world. And it is because of this amazing experience and this amazing community that I found in Israel that I'm going back for a gap year, and I urge all of you to do the same. And I hope that all the sophomores find the same community and make friends with amazing Israelis that will truly show you the type of culture that exists there. Thank you.
We are so grateful to hear the voices of those who were able to attend the MUS program over the last couple of years. Now we turn to one of our 10th grade reps, Dena Carger, to speak on her wishes for her class.
Hi. So of course I wish we could all be going to Israel together this spring, our whole grade, but right now I'll just be talking about my hopes for the 66 sophomores going to Israel. I'm so excited to be sharing my hopes for Israel. Of course I have many, but I'll just share a few. We've been counting down day after day after day, as you've probably seen on the hallway wall, and now we are so close to being there. We only have 7 days left, including today. The year has gone by so fast, and we are almost there. Since day one of freshman year, our grade has been known as one with too much energy. We often have trouble staying quiet. Now, some people may see that as a bad thing, but I think it's actually really, really great. We have used our energy to do so many fun things like singing, dancing, volunteering, and playing sports. Just like in our classes, I hope that in Israel, this energy can be used to be curious, discover new things, be creative, and to learn for the sake of learning. I hope that in Israel, if someone's tired on a hike, the rest of us will use our energy to help them finish and get all the way to the end. I hope that we can challenge ourselves, take risks, and overcome fears. My wish is that our energy will be devoted to doing good things in the world, finding our connection to Israel, and becoming closer as a grade. And also, energy is always a good thing when everyone just needs to de-stress, go crazy, and have fun. Going back to my other point, I think that one of the biggest reasons that we have trouble being quiet is because we always have so many interesting ideas to share and things to say. I don't know about you, but in all of my classes, we always have very compelling discussions. The majority of the class of 2019, in my opinion, have very strong opinions, which they will always stick to. Even though we are also opinionated, we always make sure to respect each other in and out of class. I hope that we can use our opinions to have good, respectful arguments in Israel and learn more about each other's beliefs. Even if we don't agree with one another, I hope that, just like Layla always says, we can look into each other's eyes, to the person's eyes who's speaking, and let them know that we are listening to them and that we respect them as an equal human being. We have bonded incredibly over the past almost 2 years, and I'm so excited to continue that bond in Israel. We have grown so much since day one at GAN. We have learned so much about each other, about the world, and about Judaism. But there's always room to grow. My wish is that we will learn each other's strengths and weaknesses to merge a group of 66 individuals into a strong and successful group of people. I hope that we not only connect to Israel individually, but that we can discover our love for Israel together. And most of all, I hope that we have the best and most memorable 7 weeks in Israel together.
Now, for our second of 2 faculty reflections, I would like to invite up our Hebrew Department Chair, Rona Goder-Peleg.
Hi, everyone. Is the mic okay? Okay. Wow, this is really amazing to see everyone coming here together to think and talk and celebrate Israel. This is cool. I love it. Okay, so when I was asked to come up here and just talk about what my connection to Israel is, there was one word that jumped into my mind, and I'm sure that if I were to ask you what that word is, then probably 99% of you would say that word, which is home. And then I said, okay, that's great, but that's not that interesting, and also why, like, what am I going to talk about? Like my house, like what are we, And then that made me think a little bit deeper into what is home and what does that word actually mean to me. And what it came down to was the emotions that Israel brings up in me. So that means that when in the airport in Israel, there's like this long hallway where you walk towards passport control. So like that feeling that I get when I walk down that hall, or when I go into my parents' house and I unlock the door and just walk into something so familiar and so comfortable and just so like what I am. Or when I sit in this space and hear a speaker, which I disagree with, and the frustration, the deep frustration that I experience. Or when I walk down the streets and hear in Israel and hear some political conversation that I don't enjoy hearing. All those really strong emotions, that's what home is to me. So really thinking about what Israel makes me feel. And then when I started thinking a little bit more about that notion of home and emotions and all that, I started thinking about what my responsibility is. And how does responsibility and my kind of shared connection to the community in Israel and the Jews outside of Israel and the Jews and the non-Jews in Israel, what's my responsibility towards that? And I saw that word, responsibility, has also a lot to do with my connection to home, because it's not just, this is interesting. It's, this is interesting. What can I do about it? How can I learn more? How can I actually act in a way that makes a difference? And really thinking about how to connect my emotions and my feeling of actually want to make a change. I think all of that is what Israel and what home is to me. And all I can say to you guys is try to really feel Israel. It's a cool place. Tel Aviv is awesome. It's also very complex. It's going to bring out, hopefully, a lot of emotions. And while you're experiencing all these emotions and feelings, also think about what is your responsibility and how connected do you want to be to what Israel is and what Israel is becoming and what Israel is going to be. Have fun.
Our final speaker today and our final words to be shared come from our Dean of Jewish Education, Rabbi Jethro Bergman, who will give us a final blessing.
Hi, everyone. So, I first traveled to Israel when I was 23 years old. And even though I'm older than you, at first I was homesick and a little scared, and part of me wished that I hadn't taken the risk to come to this, what was then to me a strange country. But before long, I found that I was having the most amazing, transformative year of my life. I fell in love with Hebrew. I made Israeli and Palestinian friends, many of which I'm still in touch with today, 20 years later. And I learned so much about this noisy, complicated, beautiful place. And eventually, I began to feel that although I'm not Israeli, Israel is somehow mine as well. So my blessing for you, those of you who are traveling, is that you will dive into your experience in Israel, learning and experiencing as much as you can. I bless you to make new friends, to make new connections, to make new memories, and I bless you that when you return home, you will feel that you have made Israel your own. I want to conclude with an adaptation of Tfilat HaDerech, the traditional blessing for journeys, first in Hebrew and then in English. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu shetolichehem l'shalom v'tadrichehem l'shalom v'tismechehem l'shalom v'tagiehem limchoz cheftzehem l'chayim u'lesimcha u'leshalom, v'tachzirehem l'shalom. May our God, God of our ancestors, lead you on your journey in peace and guide you in peace and support you during your journey in peace and cause you to reach your destination in life, joy, and peace and return you safely to us in peace. Those of you who are traveling, have an amazing time, having an amazing trip. Those of you who are staying here, I think we're going to have a great time learning about Israel together. That concludes our ceremony, and you can go to class. Thank you.